March 17th, 2026 meeting of the Oak Utility Authority Board to order. Welcome everyone, and please stand for the pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, call the roll now. Steve Hargraves. Tabitha Trent.
Here.
Glenn Snyder. Here. John Gilland, I'm here. Steve Nelson, absent. Jamie Galmatia. Here. Harry Mullenhauser. Here. Melanie Anderson.
Present.
And we do have a forum.
Yes, sir, and Jamie Gamatia will be voting in the absence of Steve Nelson, and Glenn, you'll be voting in the absence of Steve Hargraves. So we have five voting members, yes, sir.
We do have a quorum. And as of now, our requirement is to elect officers. John, you have to help me walk through this.
Okay, so general procedure is I'll take the meeting to accept nominations for chairman, vote on chairman. Once that person's voted into office, they'll assume the responsibilities of running the meeting and electing the vice chair and the second vice chair. By our rules, all three current officers have served their 2-year maximum consecutive terms, so they can no longer be in their same capacity. But they could be in another officer position. They just can't be, say, John, you can't be vice chair. You can be chair or second. Tabitha, same thing. You can be vice or chair. Steve, you can't be chairman anymore. It'll be second or vice, or anybody else on the board. So, is that good for you, John? And if so, we'll get started with the elections?
Sure.
Okay. So as the executive director, I will open the floor up to nominations for chairman.
I'd like to nominate John Gilliland as chair, please.
Second.
Who's the second? Is there any other nominations? Hearing none, then any discussion? Okay, all in favor for John Gilliland to be the chairperson, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, sir. You're the new chairperson.
I'll do the best I can.
Do you want to stay there or move?
I'll be okay here.
They can still see you.
Okay. I like my seat.
Just saying.
So at this time, I'd like to open the floor for nominations for first vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Tabitha Trent.
Second. I have a motion to nominate Tabitha Trent for first vice chair with a second from Mr. Mullenhauser, a second from Glenn Snyder. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 1 second.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
It's an increased pay.
That's right.
Double or triple?
And
It's
additional
20%.
vacation time.
Getting cold.
Right?
Okay, at this time, I'd like to open the floor to nominations for second vice chair.
I'll nominate Steve.
Which Steve?
Nelson.
Steve Nelson.
Second.
Okay, I have a nomination of Steve Nelson by Mr. Gamatia, a second by Mr. Glenn. Do I have all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed, like sign.
Congratulations, Steve.
Okay, just move everybody around a little bit. Shuffle the deck. Yeah. Okay, at this time, do we have any additions?
I'd like to request that we move the financials back up to the beginning of the meeting in case some of us have to leave before the meeting is over so that we have a quorum.
That would be just after the consent agenda.
Correct.
Okay, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Any other additions or deletions to the
We don't have
agenda?
any, right? There are none, right? There are none, sir.
This time, are there any questions about the consent agenda? Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Mrs. Trent. Second. Second by Mr. Flynn. Snyder. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, like sign. Consent agenda passes. Yeah, it takes me a minute to get there.
It'll be, item number 24 is the meeting minutes. Did you show them the tab on the side where you can?
All right, now we're on item number 24 of the meeting minutes.
Why not?
Are there any corrections or comments? No. Do I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes from the last meeting? So moved. I have a motion by Mr. Mullenhauser,
Second.
second by Mrs. Trent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Passes. At this time, we'd like to open up the meeting to public comments. Any comments from the public? Have a motion to close the meeting with public comments.
Motion.
Have a motion by Mrs. Trent, have a second. Second. Second by Mr. Snyder. Thank you. All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, like sign. The next agenda item is the Mark Smith property.
Item number 26, Mark Smith property closing. This is a purchase of a property that is for another vacuum pump station to serve the Treasure Island septic to sewer project. It is the last, I believe, that we're going to have to purchase. In your board package is the buyer's closing statement and cost associated with this. Greg, do you have anything you need to say?
No, this was approved at the last meeting, and we were counseled by Mr. Conley to bring it back and show the final closing statement and get the board's approval on that before proceeding.
So as the agenda says, it is a requesting of approving the closing statement for 2702 Southeast 47th Terrace here in Okeechobee.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
I have a motion by Mrs. Trent. Second. Second by Mr. Mullenhauser. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. At this time, Lawson, can we do the financial report?
Okay. Are people leaving? Do you have to leave? Okay, that's fair enough. I got it. What number is that? What is it?
36.
Item 36. Where would you like that bar to do?
Okay.
The finance report as at February 28th. I will start with page 1. Normally we go to page 2, but I'll go to page 1 for today. Or can I expand this a bit?
On the lower right-hand side, there's a plus mark. Drag it down one, yeah, up.
Okay. So, so if we look at the February row, we see that as at February 28th, on the FY26, our actual revenue, in total revenue, is $8,083,000 versus a budget, no, 6 million, sorry, 6 million.
I like the way you're thinking.
I'm just checking if you all are with me, no? So it's roughly 6 million, right? 83,000 versus a budget of 6,035,000. So we are just little above where our budget is, 0.8% above. Now, if you recall, previously we were tracking behind, and we said by month 5 or 6, the trend has always been we'll even out, and then we start to have a positive variance. Now, last year at this time, you will see that we had an amount of 6.1 and 46,000, 6,146,000. The question that probably would be asked, what happened last year for the revenue to have been greater than what we are this year, given we had a rate adjustment? And I will say that last year we had a proposed change of the rate, where we were looking to eliminate that 75% discount. And as a result, sometime in December, if you look back from December, January, February, it was trending higher. It was the persons coming in and making their payment of the capital connection and the installation in order to meet that 75% discount. So it created a spike in the revenue, and that's why we're seeing last year versus this year, the amount seemed a little bit higher, seems higher, about $200 and something thousand, no, $100 and something thousand roughly, and it is attributable to that solely, right? Page 16, when you have your time, you can look at page 16, and you'll see the current year distribution of how the 6,083,000 is determined. I will just go to page 2, where we normally make that analysis. On page 2, we have the breakdown in terms of the water, the sewer, and other, the 6,083,000 versus the budget of 6,038,000. So here we have the breakdown of what we saw as a lump sum previously, and we explain why that has changed. On the expense side, was looking at this, but yes, it is good to know that we are trending below, but I am also optimistic as we try to get in touch with the different departments, supervisors, to look through their budget with them and what are they scheduling in the coming months. So I will probably have a little more detail next month, but here we are working with the supervisors to see the timing of their budgets. Then on the restricted revenue here, again we see where it seemed to be a huge figure of $1 million versus the budget of $252. But the chunk of that has to do again with capital connection. We have moved away from that discount. 75% it is now a full capital connection. So based upon that, but also the number of customers who are now connecting, and in here we'll have payments such as Lakefront, who made some sizable amount last 2 months ago of like $403,000 for their capital connection on the water side. So here we have a huge figure, but it's attributable to the capital connection. Outside of the capital connection, The interest portion, actual added here would be 179,000 versus a budget of 154. So we're just about 16% above on the interest. And then of course we see the fire hydrant up here. So together, those are the results for the restricted revenue. On the non-operating side, what we have is really the debt payment, interest, and the depreciation, non-cash. And that is in line with the budget as well too. So from that side, the income statement side, we see that we are trending a little above the budget and for all areas, but we are optimistic and hope that this trend will continue. We won't go into it, but on the balance sheet, which we shared the last time, which is on page 13, at your leisure, you can also look at page 13 to see the balance sheet and compare between the current period, February versus September. There is no material difference. The only difference you will have noticed when you do your review is that the due from the other governments at the end of September 30th, there was roughly $2 million for grant, which we had submitted to DEP, and we did get that money sometime during this fiscal period. So that the only area and that represent any change, and that was basically some grant amount that we had outstanding to receive, and we did receive those money. So overall, the results are tracking in line with where we expect. If you have any questions, or if you want to give either Mr. Hayford or myself a call to further discuss, we are happy to do that. Any question at this time before we accept the final report?
Larson, you said you were going to meet with the individual managers and see where they're at with their
Yes.
budget. Is that mainly capital items that you're talking about?
Well, not capital. We're thinking of the operating expenses, things like their chemicals, things like what they're purchasing, their repairs, maintenance. Are there any scheduled maintenance that they had foreseen that they haven't started as yet? It is those type of expense. But as we move towards the budget, the preliminary budget, by May, we will be coming with the first proposed preliminary budget. We will be having that discussion very soon with the managers separately for their capital item as well too.
So as a part of the answer to that, meeting with them next month is clearly where are we at this year? Are we lacking anything? But a part of it is also, that's April, right? Coming up April is when we start the preliminary work on FY27. And each supervisor has a key role in that as far as vehicles or pump stations that need to be refurbished. They're going to be able to give us those pieces of what we have to get in next year's budget. So it's going to be both. Looking at this year, as well as telling them, hey, coming up, we're going to be asking you about 27 also.
Yeah, and I'd like an update on the capital purchases too, where we're at with that.
Any specific capital purchases?
Well, we had several purchases in there. I mean, I don't get out to the plants as much as I'd like to, but I do some.
That's a current capital?
Yes.
Okay, FY26.
Just for our information.
No problem, we'll do that.
Budgeted for this, did we really get it done?
Or do we plan to get it done before the fiscal year? I will also add that if there's anything that board members would like to share that they'd like to have included in the budget, as you could reach out to either Mr. Hayford or myself again. Is there something that you probably like? So, yes, if there's anything that you foresee that you'd like us to consider in the budget.
Anybody else have any other questions for Larson? Do I have a motion to accept the financial report as presented?
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Mullenhour. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Donatia. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign?
Mouse, please. Mouse. Oh, sorry.
What number are we on?
27, go back to 27.
Almost there.
He's having
Page
it done.
93.
He's having it done.
We don't have bookmarks working on this yet, right, Michelle?
Right.
Oh, come on. Okay, agenda item number 27 is the fire station property transfer.
Mr. Chairman, this is brought back because if you remember last month, we had the meeting with the county fire department, planning and commission were here asking about the State Road 78 property, whether that could be acquired for a fire station. The agenda item was, the motion was made to approve donating the property and to include a 10-year reverter clause. That is my mistake as far as trying to get that clarified. By donating property, what was meant by donating property? Was it the full 5 acres, or was it something different? And then including in the reverter clause, what was to be the reverter. So in working with the board attorney, you will find in your board package a transfer of property and a workaround with the reverter clause, and let's talk about those couple of issues. Yes, it was donating the property, so the property for sale, either through what we paid for it or what it was appraised at, kind of is off of the table, and it was a donation. In the presentation by county staff, they were saying that they needed 2.5 acres, but they would like the whole 5 acres for some future possible need. So the question is, how much space do you want to give them as far as acreage? In your board package is an example of what the 3-acre parcel would look like on the eastern side of the total 5 acres. Keep in mind, along the western property line, we do have a pipeline going in there from the surface water treatment plant back to the disposal pond that's just north of this. So we do have a pipe along in near the western property edge of that 5-acre parcel. So where are we at? In working with the board attorney was, the first question is, are we donating all the property or a portion of the property, like they said that they needed the 2.5 acres? And then in the reverter clause, there were 2 basic clauses that were presented as possible reverter clause. One was a time element to build and occupy the property. They said they needed 18 months for design and acquisition of the property. Then they were going to get a $2.5 million grant to build, and they would have up to 4 years, I think, to use that. So the total amount was somewhere between 5.5 years that they should be able to occupy the station and use it. So the question is, do you want a 10-year reverter? Do you want something less? If so, what is it? And then the other reversionary clause was if they fail to use it for any time period for an active fire station, the property and any improvements would revert back to OUA ownership. Since this is a donation, they're not really buying it, it would revert back to OUA. So those are the 2 reverter clauses, and the property that we as staff needed to get clarified from the board, and I'm sorry I didn't ask for that at the last meeting, but I guess I was not thinking ahead or busy, so that's where we need clarification. So, property size and what's in the reverter clause. If there's anything else, I'm happy to try to discuss it with you.
So I have a question regarding their current stations.
Yes,
So what is the largest station that they have in the county?
I'm only aware of 3 of them, but I would think it's the central one on 6th Street, and you did an estimate, 1.5 acres?
Quarter acres.
So 1.25 acres. So even if they were to double the size of their current facility, they're still below 3 acres, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the intent, my understanding was, yes, we would donate the property, but we never determined how much to donate.
That was not in the motion, that is correct.
Okay. So I want to be clear that, while we are having to do our, fiduciary responsibility here, and we're accountable to the ratepayers, that we paid a premium for the property, and of course now it's worth double that amount if I'm recalling
Close,
correctly.
yes.
So I think we need to determine even if they double the size of that station, 3 acres should be sufficient. Is that my understanding?
From the fire chief, they said they needed 2 or 2.5 today, or, for this build-out. Future, they may need more. But as I told them, I said, we're going to own the property, you can come back in the future, and if you need more property. I mean, but yes. At 3, I don't know if it's going to be their biggest station, but the 2 that we looked at, Treasure Island, and I'll call it the central station, whatever it is there on 6th Street, 3 acres is 2.5 times the size of what they have now.
So even in donating the 3 acres, OUA still has the additional property that we can utilize if we want to expand any of our operations, correct?
We would retain the 2 acres on the western side of that 5-acre parcel. Plus, we have other area around it.
And we're not landlocked in any
No, ma'am.
property? Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we would donate a maximum of 3 acres.
Can we work through the reverter clauses and make that all in one motion, if you're okay with that?
Yes.
Or we can have multiple motions, but
Okay, so how is it presented?
Steve, why don't you go through your reverter clauses, because you're the author and...
Thank you, Mr. Director. So I would, page 96, so we have a general warranty deed, and on page 96 of the PDF are the 2 reverter clauses. The first one is called the initial use requirement. We did that for 5 years. Part of the reason why is acquisition, 18 months. We're doing the acquisition now, truthfully. It'll take another month for us to convey title to them. So I was a little bit dubious about an 18-month acquisition and design period. So we made it 5 years in order that if we kick it back over to the county and they say it's got to be 10, maybe we land somewhere in the 7-year range. I thought 10 was a long time for the construction. That 5 years strikes me as a long time. What do I know? So right now it's 5 years to construction. The second one is I'd say the better one. So in perpetuity, it has to operate as a fire station. I tried to put some legal language in there for what is a fire station. So that's why you see references to a fire suppression device. That's a fire truck, little things like that. We'd have to hire some, NFPA guy to really come up with a perfect definition of what there is none. I checked. And so we had to come up with what is truly a fire station and how long should it be. 5 years is fine. If they decide to push back, we can then come up with the exact right number. But the point is, these reverter clauses will be built right into the deed, right? So that if the deed gets recorded, they are there forever. At the same time, in case something happens and the deed doesn't get recorded or some wild thing, it gets lost in the sauce, then we have another document that travels with the deed or with what should be the deed, and that's called the Notice of Right of Reverter. That'll be page, looks like 99, identical terms, right? So the exact reverter terms are included in this Notice of Right of Reverter. That way, if the deed gets lost, we can at least find this notice, and that points back to the deed. So all that is intended to guard, the authority's legal right to take the property back. As to the Size of the parcel right now is just, the legal description that is in the general warranty deed is just the regular main parcel. And so we would need a written legal description to put in there that represents the 3 acres or 2.5 acres, or whatever the board's pleasure is. It's easy. Whatever the board decides can easily be incorporated or changed in these documents in time for the next meeting. That's really the takeaway. Is if we decide it's going to be a longer time frame, if we decide it's going to be a different parcel size, it's fine. I can make the changes here, and we'd be ready for the next meeting.
Do we have a survey on this parcel?
Yes, but what we need to do, and I've already reached out to a surveyor, they could break it up into 2 parcels of whatever size we determine. So if it is to be 3 acres, they would break it up into 3 and 2 acre parcels, thereabouts.
So are there any restrictions as to the parcel sizes within that area?
To my knowledge, no.
So we need to find that out.
Well, they've already reached out to the planning department and said it can be done, so I think we just have to determine the size. And do we actually need to bring it back, or can we get approval to
No.
execute?
This is whatever we come up with now. I mean, mind you, as I said, if we're going to do it for 5 years and they thought it was 10 years, we might hear back. So we might have to have one more go around on the time horizon.
But I guess my question in that regard is, if we give the 5, they can always ask for us to extend it, is that correct?
Certainly, but the reverter clauses that are built into the deed would be stuck at 5. If they're doing it right, they'll say, no, whatever that number is, that's got to be in the deed.
Okay.
No.
So we'll plan on bringing it back at the next meeting then, I guess.
And as to the, this doesn't say anything about environmental permitting, rezoning, variances. I would say that's their problem. It's built into the 5 years, I guess is what I would say. And maybe they'll say, oh no, because of those issues, maybe it should be 7 years or something like that, so don't be surprised.
But they could give us the rationalization or reason.
Yes, sir.
The, on the first reverter, is it when they take substantial use of it or when they start construction?
This is intended to be substantial use of it. It's got to be operating
Within 5 years?
within 5 years. Yes, sir.
I think if we
What do
went
we
to,
think?
if we went to 7 now, we might avoid further negotiation. I think they'd probably accept 7, where they're gonna be upset with 5.
Well, if you will, keep in mind, they said it was 18 months to acquire. Well, they're already gonna have it, so that 18 months kind of went by the wayside.
Yeah, they're concerned about, property taxes and their budgets too.
Like, I guess the question, going back to Harry's point, is they have $1 million in grant money. Was that the understanding?
Yes, they already have that.
Did we get a clear number on the actual budget of what it's going to cost overall and where the money's coming from?
I believe the number I heard was the next step, once they acquire it, is to go after a $2.5 million grant for construction.
So that's additional time that it's going to take for them to acquire that grant, if the funds are even available.
And that's when they said that would be up to 4 years.
Okay.
So that's where, 5.5 is the maximum.
Mhm.
So whether you went with 5 or 7, I don't think you're gonna be that wrong about that, either one of those.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking ahead because, grant money is not as readily available as it used to be. So we need to think in terms of how they're going to acquire funding to finish the project. So 7 is that a fair number, or do we want to stick with 5?
Either one of them are good.
But Steve, you're saying that once we do this, the number needs to
Locked
be
in.
determined now,
We
yes.
really should agree.
It goes into the deed.
For 7, for 7, just because I'm thinking, that's a lake model, and they may still have to get in there and demuck that whole thing and everything else to be able to do it. I'm sure nobody's done any soil borers or anything like that through there. Instead of just bringing it back. Right. I mean, it's just a 2-year window.
It was a whole meeting if we just put 7 in, I think is what Mr. Gaddis is saying.
If we continue all this legal work, who's paying for that? We're giving them the property, are we also paying all the legal fees to do all this?
We're paying his fees to do the work. The survey, I think, was $1,800. It's minimal amount, but we would have to pay for the categorization of a 2 and a 3 acre parcel. I think it's $1,800. So yes, there is some OUA expenses.
I mean, we're already giving the property away, and then we're paying to give it away. It seems like the county should, maybe step up and pay some of these fees, in my mind.
Well, of course, they have a huge construction bill too, so I mean, you know, they're gonna be putting a lot of money into the protection for the public, you know, of building the station.
I understand that.
Okay, I'm sorry, I just,
And then this borders our property on the west side, correct?
on the west and north, yes, sir.
So, if it were me, I would have given the other side away. I would have drawn it out, but you didn't because of the,
So the west side of this parcel is contiguous to our parcel to the west.
okay.
So that's why I
So
kind
there
of,
is more property though you owns on the west side.
yes, sir.
Okay.
So that way they're together.
Okay. I got you. Any other comments?
I'm not sure why we're quibbling over whether we're giving them 3 or 5. And if we got the parcel, we've got access from 78 for our land behind it. Their argument or why they wanted 5, of course, was expansion, but also for stormwater retention, that it's something that they don't have at the other 2 sites, and they would need here, I guess, because there is no stormwater conveyance in that area.
Well, every site that gets developed has to have some on-site retention, but keep in mind, their current parcels are only around 1 acre, so if we give them 3, they have plenty of room for expansion and stormwater. And we can always give them more if it really develops. I mean, there is some value in that land. If you give them the 5 acres, then we don't have to spend the $1,800 on surveying. Here's the only way I would say it. If they, and I asked them for this, I said, if you could come in with some kind of site plan that shows how you would use 5 acres, I think it would be a much easier understanding, but they don't have anything. Or they didn't supply anything. That's what I asked the chief on Thursday. Give us something. But
I just think we need to donate what they need. We all want something, but the need at the end of the day is we're being generous with the 3 acres.
yeah, we're matching what they need, yes.
Right, yes, yes.
Any other comments? We have a motion. Somebody can put a motion together.
So what did we settle on as far as the reverter term?
From what I heard, was 7 might be more agreeable than 5, and then no change with the, that was the 5, the 7 was on the initial use, and on the continuing use requirement, there was no change to that reverter portion.
Okay, but we have one more item to discuss, the structure demolition on top of that.
And where we're at, if we keep the 2 acres, most of that house is on the part we're keeping. But they could still do it as a practice burn or, you know, whatever. I mean, they could still do something with it. And they've offered to do that before. They were going to use it actually as a SWAT training first, and then a burn, but it's deteriorated to such a shape that it's not safe to be in there. So they were just going to practice the burn.
Who's responsible for cleaning up the mess?
Property owner, us. Whatever's left, the slab, the septic tank would be us.
Because I remember the last time we went around this, that was one of the problems. We didn't want to,
Well-
the fire department wouldn't clean it up. We were gonna have to clean it up, and we said we didn't want to do it.
So if you wanted to do that, then you could say that's a part of donating the land, that they would demo the structure. And I think that was a topic of discussion last month.
I'd be for that. Let them clean it up, let them burn it, and let them clean it up.
I mean, they're getting the property, 3 acres for free, so, I mean, that would just be a motion if you want to add to the reverter clause 7-year and the donation of 3 acres.
Actually, let them pay for the survey.
Sure. We jump in, Mr. Director,
Okay.
and it's fine. That would be, so for example, distribution of payment or, and cleanup generally is treated as a side, not a side agreement, it's just an agreement. So I would have an agreement for conveyance, and I would put that in. And that's totally fine, because we just make them pay for that as well, for the extra time to prepare that. In other words, other than reverter clauses and things like that, you don't generally put that level of detail into the recorded deed.
Correct.
To a separate contract, which I'm happy to do, because, by the way, we can make that legal cost part of the fire department's.
So if I get this correctly, then the donation is for 3 acres.
7 years.
The temporary use, let's see, make sure I get the terminology. Initial use reverter clause would be 7 years. The continuing use requirement, no changes to what's proposed in the board package?
You might have to you have to make it 7, don't you think? It would start at the end of the 7th year. In other words, it would start.
Yeah, but the.
Right, so that first sentence.
Okay.
I would change that, commencing on the 7th anniversary of the execution date.
The cost for us to do the surveying, they would reimburse us that cost? I would still like to be in control of it, so they just reimburse?
Not just have them do it. Yes, sir.
And then they would be responsible for the demo and the cleanup of the house,
And the disposal.
right?
Yeah.
Those are the 5 elements? Okay.
And,
In that 7 years, that's
I would put the 7 years in the deed, right, so just a small edit to the deed, but I would be doing maybe a 2 or 3 page separate agreement that talks about expenses, demolition of whatever's on site, and reimbursement of legal and survey. Seems like we're trying to do that.
So that, it would be like the house and septic tank, I mean, well, whatever that would have to be cleaned up. So you could do a sales contract outlining those 5 elements?
Correct.
Is that good for the board? And we would bring that back at the April meeting for, after the county gets to review it in the interim and review.
Just, in that 7 years, is substantial use or substantial
It
completion?
would be the language we use now is the property has to be placed into active operation as a fire station within, let's call it 7 years.
That would be the 5 elements of the motion, sir.
Okay. Is everybody comfortable with the timeline on the reverter clause? Just 1 year? I mean, is that realistic?
1 year.
We're going from 5 to 7, right?
7.
I'm talking about the reverter clause.
There's 2 of them, 2
Not
revert.
in use for 1 year, then it reverts.
Sure, I'll get into that soon. So we're talking about the second one, right? So we have a clause that says that if it stops being used as a fire station, then we get it back. We don't mean that if it gets blown apart by a hurricane and it's being reconstructed, we mean for that to be acceptable. And so there's language in there that says that if it stops being used continuously for 1 year, then that counts as no longer a fire station. Or if it stops being used for a total of 18 months, or 12 months during an 18-month period. And there again, I was just trying to give legal effect to what I think the board's intention is, which is to have it operate as a fire station, but not beat them up if the building just has to go through some renovation or some disaster repair. And that was the idea behind that. So if you wanted to massage that, you might say, well, you know, is it realistic to rebuild the entire structure fully operational within 12 months of it being destroyed? I don't know the answer, you know, so there may be a common sense component to that, there may be an engineering component to that. I just went with 12 months because it sounded right. You know, for roof repairs, let's say, you know, flooding or something. I thought, yeah, a year, literally an entire year out of service should provide them enough time to get an emergency service property back in action. I could be wrong about that, but that's what the intent was.
And on that reverter, is it as is, so it's the improvements in the property back, or do they have to tear down
So
what's
there's
in?
nothing about what they, okay, there's nothing at all about what they have to do. This says that we get whatever's there.
So
It could be a.
property, improvements, whatever.
We just get that, correct.
Okay. So instead of having a house to demo in 20 years, we'll have a fire station to demo. I'll be retired by then. Larson or somebody else will be there. Our finance director will have to worry about it. All right, so that's the 5 elements of that motion.
Does everybody understand? Motion?
The 5 motion.
Anybody want to make the motion?
So the motion is to propose that and bring it back after the county reviews it.
And bring it back here at the April meeting. Whenever it gets done, we'll give them a copy, and it would all be brought back at the April meeting.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Snyder. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Comatia. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed, like sign? Motion passes.
Whew.
And again, that what we just decided was to propose those conditions.
Correct.
We'll get it all drafted up, sales contract, get it over to them, and then it would come back for final action and the county may be here.
Sure.
Have a discussion, and it would be final action.
Okay, agenda item number 28 is the Southwest State Road 78 Phase 3 Pump and Storage Tank Engineering Service Agreement.
Mr. Chairman and board members, this is going to be going along with the Phase 3 water main improvements along State Road 78, going from just south of Limpkin Creek to just south of Big O, about 9,000 feet of piping. In December, you approved the engineering services agreement to get started with that design, and in January, the cost sharing for that engineering design. So following along with that, there was a call for a storage tank and pump station to be included in that piping system. You have in your board package the engineering services agreement from Holtz Consulting Engineers for $264,547 to do that engineering work. I would suggest that a cost-sharing agreement would be forthcoming at your next board meeting if this is given approval to move forward with today.
So what are we asking in the way of the cost sharing?
So the storage tank in general is primarily for in my look at the hydraulic analysis, initially is primarily for lakefront estates. However, I will tell you that the OUA would still get some benefit from it, from an idea of fire protection, either for the existing mobile homes and homes along State Road 78 and Buckhead Ridge, as well as future development, which is still active, for Okatani. They're going to require some fire protection there for that investment, should that ever be built. So, we would get some benefit. Now,
Well,
it's still active. It's still active. Yes, they got an amendment to move it out to April, but there is still hope that Bass Pro is coming, and we're treating it as such, that it is going to happen. But is it still a 50-50 split or something different? I'm going to tell you that we probably are going to get some benefit, whether 50-50 is fair or, say, a 25-75 is more representative of where we should be. I would say either one of those two. Yes, they're going to get, the whole reason for the storage tank right now is for lakefront estates, essentially. We are going to get some benefit from it at some time in the future.
So this motion be subject to the cost sharing agreement?
You could do it one of two ways. Yes, that is one way we could do it, that this would be approved contingent upon approval of a cost-sharing agreement next month in whatever split you want, or, you know, they've already conceptualized or agreed to a cost-sharing. They're really eager to keep this process moving. So it could be contingent upon a cost-sharing agreement. We could have that signed by next week if you wanted to. It doesn't have to wait till next month, but it's really the board's pleasure. So yes, it could be contingent upon, just give me the percentage and I will get to work on it.
so the question, John, I see the chemical system here, and then do we have an idea what the annual operating cost would be for this facility and who pays for that, and, you know, what these numbers would be?
We could come up with those numbers. I would tell you that the annual cost, the operational cost, is going to be borne by the OUA, and it will be a function of our rate structure, of which, again, they hope to have many hundreds of homes down there. So yes, they would bear some of that cost, as all ratepayers would be, for that storage element and the electrical cost and maintenance. So yes, ratepayers.
Would this eliminate the water tower, or would it have to stay in service?
I'll let you try to present that to residents to get rid of their water tower.
I just didn't know if this would eliminate it.
There will not be a need for, hydraulically, there will not be a need for it. Socially, there's folks that are attached to Treasure Island as well as Buckhead Ridge water towers. If you remember long-term Okeechobee residents, all the water towers here in town are long since gone.
Well, it
When-
just seems to me like that we're gonna bear that cost, and nowadays with businesses getting larger, they're chasing smaller margins. And, if you look at this over 20 or 30 years, it can be a lot of money. And with OUA,
There will be some money, yes, sir. I don't know if I would classify it as a lot, but there will be some money. There's gonna be electrical, there's gonna be chemical, and there'll be long-term maintenance on the storage tank.
There's also a lot of ratepayers out there that we're gonna check up.
but we're giving them a discount because they are a large user.
They're getting a discount, but understand we're getting a discount. So when you look at that, let's say there's 1,400 residents, right? We're gonna read 3 meters and send out 3 bills for 1,400.
I understand.
So that's a part of the reason for the discount, and they're gonna own, operate, maintain their own water distribution system. So there is some trade-off there. They get a little bit of a discount, and we have less operation, so it's
But we
both.
still have to operate our plant.
We will still need to operate the plant as we would for any of our 10,000 metered connections.
So-
Yes, sir.
So question, If lakefront was not in the equation, we would not even be discussing this.
We probably wouldn't even be putting in the water main. But now keep in mind, the first phase was really driven by DOT wanting to put guardrail up right on top of and through our 8-inch water main. So when they were doing that initial design, we had to move our water main anyway for that first phase. After we got started with our work, DOT came in and changed their plans and said, we're not putting up a guardrail. But we were already committed. Now, what are we benefiting? We have an older 6-inch cast iron water main on the non-lake side of 78. And on the lake side of 78, we have an 8-inch ductile iron main. Both of those are going to come out, and we're going to end up with one water main to manage for all time, a 16-inch. So we get rid of a 6 and an 8, and we're going to be left with a 16-inch water main. So benefit for all around.
Would we have had to remove one of those anyway to run sewer out to Tandy?
No, but it would have made it a little more, it would have made it a little more difficult with the smaller area to operate. Now we're going to have all one side to operate on.
Any other comments or questions?
I just don't think we should be bearing the cost of this,
Any of it?
any of it.
I'm good with that. If that's the,
I've never understood it from the beginning myself, why we had to put in this storage facility. It wasn't in the original plans.
oh yes, it's been talked about from day one.
Okay, I guess I missed that.
The topic was, there was always the where it had to be. So they've gone ahead and put in, because of their early demands, they're putting in a storage tank on their facility. And then we were gonna have to put one up on this north end. And then they looked at and bought property right about near the VFW. They were going to build the storage tank there, but then something happened with zoning or whatever. So they ultimately ended up with two locations for a storage tank.
And the cost to actually install and do all of this work, who is going to bear those costs?
All of what work? The storage tank that we're talking about here?
Yes.
Again, it would be under whatever cost share we come up with, whether 50-50, 80-20, 90-10, 70, whatever we come up with, there would be that cost share.
No, I'm not in favor of sharing costs, but.
So let me throw a little bit more into the mix. You'll see in your board package a Commerce Department Rural Infrastructure Grant Fund that the developer and the OUA staff worked on. So we're getting that $1 million, and there's another request in that y'all have seen for the Florida Job Growth Grant Fund of another $5 million for this project. So between the developers, grant writers, and OUA staff, we have in our house already approved $1 million with an expected another $5 million coming in. So there is outside capital coming in to support at least $1 million for this project. It does not pay for the storage tank, it's for the piping system, but it still helps to offset some of that capital cost. And there'll be more coming with that.
There's also infrastructure in place for future growth in Glades County that we have the franchise area out to Indian Prairie Canal. So, I mean, it's potentially, many more ratepayers as they move west.
But that's still part of the lakefront estates property, is that correct?
Well, I mean, there's more lakefront estate property with proposed, but there's also a lot of other property out there that could be developed once Lakefront Estate establishes out there with shops and, you know, a community greater than what Buckhead Ridge already has.
I have been in discussions with at least one person that owns multiple properties along State Road 78 in Okeechobee County, as well as some property near the elevated storage tank that is ready to go and start development. And that's being driven by their thinking Bass Pro, and along with Lakefront Estates. So they see that as the design element where people are going to be moving towards.
And you think by April we'll know if Bass Pro is real or not? I mean, that's.
I'm going to tell you that my standard answer is it's been held close to the vest. The BOCC are the only people that really know what's going on. And they said they've signed another extension through April. So I'm going to say yes, I still believe it's positive. Is it going to happen? I don't know that answer. But I do believe, let's put it this way, they haven't walked away. So they're still in the game. So is it going to happen? I have to be positive thinking that it will. And if it does, then this storage tank is going to be necessary, not necessarily to meet their domestic demand, but the fire demand, which is huge.
Which is a reason for us to participate and move forward with it.
Well, but right now, we're just basically talking about the engineering agreement.
Engineering agreement and the cost sharing as to whatever element you want, if anything. If you want 80-20, 50-50. I mean, I think 50-50, in my own personal opinion, is low for this. I think it should be more in favor of the developer paying more because they are guaranteed to benefit more today than we will. In the future, I see us having some benefit to that, so we probably should pay some.
And if you're talking all these homes that could take place in the future, 750,000 gallons, is that going to have to be looked at once again for capacity?
It will be looked at before we go to construction. I think they were needing 400,000 or something is the number. I'd have to go back and look at the report. So there is not much of a cost difference between 400 and 750 or 400, 750 and $1 million. Whatever we come up down with is what we need to be able to meet the expected fire demand. Because just around the corner, 4, 5, 6 miles up the road, we have 3 million gallons of storage there.
Could we put in there that they could share part of the operating costs based on their usage?
You could, but I would venture to say
They are sharing those costs by being ratepayers.
Yes.
I would suggest to you that the easier way is if that cost sharing is noticeably different, then it's a cause for adjustment of their rate that they pay, as opposed to trying to build it into the storage element and into the overall ratepayers. I would also ask that you consider that if it's going to be a different cost sharing, that we keep in mind that that also would apply to the construction cost. It's not just engineering services, but it would also apply to the construction cost of the storage tank, whatever it's going to be.
What's everybody's pleasure for cost sharing? Is 80-20 sound? 80-20 sound of the starting number with everybody?
I think I agree with that as a starting number. I'm not sure how firm I would hold that, you know. I wouldn't want to cancel the project if.
It can be, yes, you tell me whatever you want, and I'm gonna go get it.
Here's my question. If, I'm using them right, if Bass Pro comes in, they're gonna be sitting in the catbird seat. Somebody else is gonna be paying for all their benefits.
Yes, but also keep in mind, when they come into the system, they're gonna be paying our capital connection charges, which is gonna be tremendous. So we're gonna get some money from them for joining the system, both water and wastewater. So, yes, just like Lakefront Estates has paid their fair share of capital connection charges, their initial ones, and they're gonna continue to pay them as they build many more houses. So yes, we're gonna get that money from folks. I think Lauriston mentioned here a couple months ago, Lakefront Estates paid over $400,000 in capital connection charges, and they're gonna pay more as they build more. So, yes, both of those elements, as well as anybody else that comes in, they're gonna be paying capital connection charges.
If the 16-inch wasn't going in and we weren't discussing the storage facility, would we have to change anything in the system for Bass Pro to meet their needs if they were to start building?
So the easy question to that is yet to be decided because Bass Pro hasn't given us anything.
But
I have no idea
just
of
a
what.
guess, would the 6 and 8 inch meet their needs?
Domestic, yes. Fire, no. It would be my best guess.
That's the only thing I'm trying to.
So again, by doing some of the upsizing of the water main and/or the storage tank, will be way more than enough to meet any expected demand from Bass Pro. Big Cedar, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, any more questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
What would the motion be?
Okay, so the motion would be that it would be approve the $264,547 engineering services agreement with Holtz Engineering, subject to and contingent upon a cost-sharing agreement between the OUA and Lakefront to the tune of 20% OUA, 80% Lakefront. If you want it firm. Numbers.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Snyder. Do I have a second?
You wanted to make it firm? Well, I'll second it for reasons for discussion. You want to make that firm 80-20, or our negotiating starts at 80-20?
I think it should be firm and see what they say. They know we're gonna negotiate, they're gonna, negotiate. If they think we're firm, what other options do they really have? I mean, I can't see them saying no.
Okay, so it's the Holtz Consulting Engineers at Engineering Service Agreement at $264,580,547 with a signed cost-sharing agreement, split 20% OUA, 80% Lakefront Estates. That's the motion that's right now. Glenn and Harry.
If I don't have a second, the motion fails.
We do have a second, Harry
Oh, I
and
thought
Glenn.
I second it for purpose of discussion.
Okay.
So we're at discussion, and when that's over,
Any
we
other
go to vote,
discussion?
see what we get.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, like sign.
What,
I'm not in favor.
so 4-1, or did you vote no too, Harry? 4-2? I mean,
No, I didn't vote. I was still thinking about things when he called the vote.
I voted no.
You're voting no? Then it fails. It fails.
So what does that leave us?
Do you have a counter motion?
I just think they need to absorb the cost as the project is lakefront.
Okay, so would you have that as a motion then?
Yes.
So the motion would be to approve a 264,547 with the cost sharing being 100-0.
So I have a motion from Mrs. Trent. Do I have a second?
No, that wasn't my reading.
Oh, okay.
Is there a second?
We're not making any headway.
What are your thoughts, Jamie?
What, is it failed for lack of a second? Okay.
What's your thoughts, Jamie?
It was what I brought up before, and there's no way to do it unless somebody, there's a lot more intelligence than through my heart, because Bass Pro's coming in looking pretty sweet. And I understand they'll get a capital, but everybody pays a capital. And there's no way to do it because we don't even know if they're gonna build. So there's much less, you can't negotiate, you can't do anything with them. But all the way to that river, anything that's done was gonna, Bass Pro just come in and, yeah, okay, here it is, and we're done. They participated in none of this.
We're not even sure Bass Pro's coming in.
Right, no, I
So
understand,
it's not
but-
even-
But this was gonna have to be done. And this is what I got to thinking about it when you brought it up. Would we be doing this if there wasn't a lakefront? Would we be doing this if the Bass Pro tomorrow said, yep, we're doing it, here's our plans?
With the 16-inch water main, then we probably could meet their fire demand. You asked me on the existing piping, 8 and a 6, I don't think we can meet their fire demand. With the 16, we might be able to. If we went back to the original cost sharing, 50-50, then OUA is picking up slightly more of the engineering services, approximately 130,000. But the 50-50 would also apply to most likely construction.
Right.
So I guess my question, John, is what is Lakefront Estates? What are they saying? What are they willing to do? Is this just us that proposed this, or do they understand the situation?
They understand my position where this is more driven for them right now than us. They understand that position. They need this storage tank, so I can't speak for them. If we said no today, my guess is they're gonna foot the bill of 264,547. That would be a guess on my part. I do not know. What I don't want to see happen is they would have to build it to our standards, because we're going to own, operate, and maintain it. The storage tank, the distribution system, the wastewater collection, and that's all on them because they're going to own, operate, and maintain it. They can build it any way they want to, with whatever dollar amount. But for us, yes, long term, we know that storage tank is going to be there a long time, lots of years, right about the time Jamie retires, 40 years from now. But yeah, so it's got to be pretty substantial, whatever we build there.
So what other options do they have?
None.
Okay, well, there you go.
So that's what I'm saying. They probably would suggest that they probably would end up doing it themselves.
Fine, let them do it themselves.
And the thing is the grant money is there.
The grant money that we have today, the $1 million, is for piping only.
And then you 5 million that we're speculating is a possibility, but we don't know that that's a possibility.
That is correct. The only thing we know today is they need that storage tank because of their development. Are we going to need it for something in the future? You've asked me about Bass Pro. I don't know.
So let them go.
Bass Pro?
No,
Let the lakefront.
lakefront,
Yes. They very well might.
their problem, okay.
They very well might.
We don't need to make a decision.
No, you did make a decision. You're not going to participate in the 264, 547. They would have to, it would basically be back to Tabitha's motion of 100-0 that failed. That's,
Why do we even have to vote on it?
Well, I was gonna ask that same question. Did we come up with this to present, or did they approach you to present to the board?
neither.
Okay.
Holtz Consulting is doing the design work on the pipeline. The developer asked Holtz to go back and look at the hydraulics and make sure that all, you don't want, I guess they didn't want different people doing different design elements, and then when you try to put it together, it doesn't work. So they asked Holtz to do a review of their design element, and they came up saying, this is what we need. And
They asked Holtz to review the design element.
but it's also benefiting us because Holtz is working for us. I don't want to utilize a developer's design documents for it. So, Holtz Consulting, so who asked who? I'm just telling you, Holtz was asked to provide a scope of work and fee schedule to do this design because it's going to be tied into OUA ownership, operation, and maintenance. So, it may come down to using what you just said, the 100-0. The developer may look at us saying, okay, get your engineer to do the design work, then we need to approve the 260-47 on our dime, and they're going to reimburse us 100% of it. We get to the same place. We didn't spend any money. We got covered. So the 100-0 will do exactly what y'all are asking, that we don't expend any money at the end of the day, and it meets what you're requiring. So your motion would in fact do what you want. We don't spend anything.
If we do nothing.
Sir?
If we do nothing, they still have to build it, whoever they get, to our standards, right?
Yes, sir?
Okay, so,
But we're at the same point. It's 100-0. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, it's still the same point, except Holtz is working for us, and we're being reimbursed by Lakeshore. If you don't want to do it,
I can't hold work for them.
They
They'll build to
can.
our standards anyway.
but then they're not, we could try that.
Then they're not what?
Well, if Holtz is working for us, they take our direction. If they're working for the developer, I got to go through the developer to get to Holtz. I mean, just the way it works. They're not working for us, unless I guess the developer could say, whatever the OUA says, go do it. Maybe that would work out. I mean,
Ultimately, that's what they're gonna have to do anyway. If they're gonna build it to our standards, they're gonna have to do that anyway. Right? No?
I think what John's saying, it's easier to tweak design if they're working for us than it is if they're working for them.
Well, they still work for us, it's just they put the bill.
Yeah, but you've got another step to go through. We have to go through them to,
I would hope they
But
would
we would
let
get
John
reimbursed.
oversee the project, or the
But we
OUA
get
oversee it.
reimbursed.
well,
If
if
they, if they didn't
if
have
we,
any idea
if we
what,
vote
Yes.
for 100-0,
Yes.
then they're
they
working
don't have
for
the
us.
knowledge
Right,
to oversee it.
regardless.
So what happens if we don't vote on it, so
if this is not approved today, I go back to the lakefront, say, OUA is not funding, if you will, doing this, it's all on you. And we will oversee, if you want us to own, operate, and maintain it, we'll do that. But we'd be working through the developer's engineer. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the 100-0 is the same thing. We don't have any money expended, and they work for us. It's the same thing. But we get to be in control of the engineer, as opposed to working through the developer. But however y'all want to do it, and
Fine, you want to make your motion? I'll
I'm gonna make that motion again.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay.
okay.
Can you read that again, John? Just
So the way I understand the motion is going to be, as Tabitha and Glenn second, is that the OUA will engage Holtz Consulting Engineers for the design of the storage tank and the pump station, engineering fees of $264,547, contingent upon a cost-sharing agreement that says the split would be 100-0, with 100% of the cost being borne by Lakefront and 0 by OUA.
That's not really a cost sharing. 100-0 is not a cost
It
sharing.
is a cost sharing, they're paying all the costs.
Right, they're paying all that, but that's not sharing. I mean, 1%, 99, that's cost sharing.
What would you
0,
prefer to call it then?
I don't know, but it's not cost sharing.
Change the term, they're still paying the bill.
Right, they're, right.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
So the $264,547 fee, Holtz Consultant will come through us as a pass-through to Lakefront Estates.
Fine.
That is the motion by Mr. Trent. Mr. Snyder, second.
Let's finish it out. We have to finish the vote.
Well, this is just the end of the discussion, so now we have to vote, yes.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign?
Aye.
4-1, passes.
Final.
Whew. Okay. So, agenda item, number 29, Pine Ridge Park expansion. Again, this is for 2 roads off of, Ellerby Road, 8th Street and 6th Court. I don't know if I have a picture here. We had bids, that were received on, March 9th. And, the bids came in as shown here. The engineer's estimate was nearly $306,000. The low bid was at $308,820. Submitted by Go Underground. Review of the contract documents. They met the bid requirements for bid bond and, subcontractor. There was a whole long list of things that they had to meet. And you'll see your engineer's record in there of recommendation of award to Go Underground in the amount of $308,820 for this sewer expansion, and issue the notice to award. There is a secondary motion that once they provide us the necessary documents like a signed agreement and insurance and construction public bond, that we could then issue the notice to proceed. So the first motion under review and discussion is whether you wish to make the award to Go Underground in the amount of $308,820.
What's your recommendation, John?
Go Underground has done a lot of work for the OUA in general, but has never done vacuum sewer work. However, there is a provision in the bid documents that says if they don't have the experience elsewhere, then they have to engage a vendor, AirVac or FlowVac, to provide on-site training and inspection of their work. And they've agreed to that. So the recommendation is, yes, make the award to Go Underground Utilities in the amount of $308,820.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Mullenhour, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Valentine. Any other discussion, questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, like sign. Motion passes.
So that would be to issue the notice to award to Go Underground. The second part of that was whether or not, when they provide us the appropriate documentation, that's usually an agreement, insurance, public construction bond, that type of information, that if that is acceptable according to the project documents, engineer signs off, whether or not we are authorized by the chairman, staff, to issue the notice to proceed to start the project.
We have a motion.
You explain that one more time.
Okay, to go to construction, once they get the award, they have like 10 days for the project documents to supply us Section 500, which is the agreement. And then they have to provide us different bonds, like public construction bonds, payment bonds, and insurance. There's paperwork that they have to supply us after they get the notice to award, because it costs them a little bit of money, to prepare that stuff. Once they give us all of those documents and they are reviewed by staff and the engineer and they're deemed acceptable, we issue them a notice to proceed. What the notice to proceed does, it starts the time clock for construction. However many days they've got to build it to substantial and final completion, they get started. So they can go out and buy product and install it. So we just need authorization that if they supply the required documentation, is the chairman, OUA staff, available to issue the notice to proceed?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Mullenhour and a second by Mrs. Trent. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Gas Woodman project.
So staff up front is, we get calls, if you will, for water main in Basswood. Much of Basswood we don't have water and sewer. We have some, but we don't have water and sewer. There are 3 roads that people have asked us, there are 2-3 houses in, what does it cost for a 2-inch water main to extend down? In the past, we've just extended the 2-inch water main to serve those people, and then 6 months later, a year later, we got to come in and extend it further. We can't do that with the 2-inch. We have to go back and put in 6-inch water main, fire protection for a portion of the road, and then the last element we can run 2-inch. So in these elements, we have prepared design documents, you can see them in here, for extending the piping all the way to the terminal end, and we'll pick up customers along the way. They have paid us a little bit of money, the initial people, for the 2-inch that they wanted, but we're deciding to go ahead and upgrade to 6-inch the whole way, and then 2-inch at the terminal end. Each road is about $28,000 in material cost, and we have about $71,000 left in the budget for the annual budget for water main. So we'll transfer a little bit of money. But what's not figured into this cost estimate is the element of people paying their capital connection and water connection fees, as well as whether they paid for a 2-inch. And then the bigger ticket item are labor. Our labor is already attributed in the budget for 2,080 hours for the year, so whether they're doing water main construction or fire hydrant painting, we're going to pay that anyway. When it comes to recognizing it as a capital expense, though, yes, we'll have to include all those costs on the ticket for capital expense as a budgetary issue for showing labor, equipment, materials, all of that against these projects. So this is 3 more roads in Basswood, extending the water main to the terminal end. We'll provide fire protection. We'll get some money out of the fire hydrant fund for that, as well as extending it all the way to either the northern or southern end of that road. As luck would have it, you got me as the engineer, so I will end up doing the permitting through DEP and the certification.
I'll make a motion to approve this agreement.
I have a motion by Mrs. Trent, do I have a second? Second by Mr. Snyder, all those in favor?
And just for the motion, that is to do these 3 roads as mentioned, okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign? Motion passes. Item number 30.
Item 31 is a development going in on the north side of town at the intersection of 441 North and Cemetery Road. There is a parcel right there at the north side of Cemetery Road that is going to be under construction for another auto truck center stop, 7-Eleven. As a part of that agreement with that developer and DOT, they need to add a turn lane so that they can turn, the northbound lanes can turn into the development staying off of Cemetery Road. Unfortunately, we just put a new water main in there on private property, which now will become DOT, and they want us to subordinate to DOT that if our piping system, which will be under the turn lane, breaks or somehow damages DOT infrastructure, we'll fix it. If they also have in this subordination clause, if they determine that our piping is in the way of their needs, then DOT will pay to move it. So it's kind of, I don't necessarily like the subordination from the standpoint that if our piping leaks or breaks, we gotta pay to have their road fixed. Because right now, if it leaks, we have landscaping to fix. I mean, it's relatively straightforward, grass. But I understand where they're at, that they want to protect their infrastructure if our facilities break. So Steve has had a chance to look through this. We've gotten what we can get out of it. The request of staff is that the board accept this subordination and exercise the execution of the subordination clause. Steve, do you have anything you need to add to that?
The alternative to this is eminent domain or some other long-winded thing. This is why we do these, just to avoid having to get into a battle with FDOT over some turn lane.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mrs. Trent to approve.
And that approval would be to execute the said document, okay?
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Mullenhour. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion passes.
Item 32 is a water main project in the the heading is wrong. It's not northwest, it's northeast 16th Avenue. And it's a water main going from here on 70 by W&W up underneath Seaboard Coastline and eventually tying in right here on 12th Street that's leaving the City Industrial Park. There's a 12-inch water main in that area. The reason for this pipeline is that there has been a significant number of breaks. Mr. Mullis could share with us how many, but in this segment from 70, luckily not under Seaboard Coastline, it's an old cast iron water main that has broken many times. and we've had to do repairs on it. So what this will do is upgrade our system, tying the 12-inch up at the City Industrial Park with a 12-inch water main down on 70, which will help get water from the storage tank at the groundwater plant out into the distribution system. The other benefit that will happen is immediately over here to the east is the western edge of Okeechobee Premier. It's a developer that signed with us many, many years ago, planning on development like Bass Pro. I guess it's going to happen eventually. But I will tell you that at 2 o'clock today, I have a meeting with them, a Teams meeting, and it might be a part of the discussion that they, will look at giving us the easements we need up 32nd for the force main and pump station for Treasure Island. But I just digress here that this water main could also not only benefit us from the long term of moving water from the groundwater plant out into the distribution system, replacing some old damaged piping, but may benefit development to the east from Douglas Park.
Are these houses on sewer, John?
Septic, yes, sir.
Septic.
Septic tanks.
They're all on septic.
Yes, there is some water main through there. There is some, and it's all older piping, some 2-inch, some newer PVC, but it's all 2, 4, 6-inch piping, maybe a little bit of 8, but this is really to replace that older cast iron water main on 16th Avenue.
So we're W&W and Okeechobee Feeds and these places, ARS, they're all on septic?
Yes, sir.
We're gonna need extensive permitting from the railroad, or?
I don't know about extensive, but we are going to have to get a permit through them, and it means we'll drill underneath them.
So at this point, all you're asking for is a board member to be available.
Yes, we did the engineering RFP that's coming in. If there is a board member that would like to sit on the review committee, all of that will be brought back to the board in the future as far as the ranking. And then we enter the negotiation phase, scope of work, fee schedule. So this is going to be an ongoing process for several months.
So just another question, John, are the houses on the south side of 70 there, are they all also on septic?
South of 70, for the most part, yes, sir.
I'm just thinking, we're always looking at future, right? Do we need to put in a sewer line when we're putting in a water line?
So there is a sewer force main going through part of this area. It comes in right here at Douglas Brown School, comes in across this area and goes up 16th Avenue to 12th and then into the industrial park. That is, we put that in when we had to take over Pine Ridge Park. And we eliminated their treatment plant at Pine Ridge behind Bill's Mini Mart. We built a pump station. We had to do that long force main across Dr. Brown's property, across at Regina Hamrick's, and it comes in right at Douglas Brown. I think it's Douglas Brown School.
Does that mean anyone that borders that force main is required to hook up?
No, sir, because it's pressurized.
Okay.
They can, like the school, they did put in a pump station to tie in, but they are not required to. Now, if we were to put a collection system in that neighborhood, yes, we could tie into that force main.
But that's what you're gonna meet with this developer about, correct?
The developer is, I want to talk to them about way on the eastern side, going up the east side of Pine Ridge, 32nd. Our Treasure Island force main was supposed to go up that road in a pump station on Okeechobee Premier and then go north up through Hamrick. And they have yet to sign the easements and to donate the property to us. I'm hoping that will be an outcome of the meeting today.
Oh.
But If they are moving forward, what I'm telling you is, we may move this red line out 12th and down 16th, which would facilitate them connecting in at some time in the future. So it's somewhat fluid. We haven't actually done the design, but without considering them, Jamie and I went out there and looked at this. That was the best route for us today without thinking about development to the east. So this is really just, if there is a board member that wishes to sit in on the review of the engineering proposals so that we can rank them and then bring them back to the full board sometime after the April 8th date, most likely April 21st.
At which point we would know more about whether or not we were gonna move the line.
Yes. So is that your request to be on the?
I'll do it.
Okay. I will keep you posted, Harry, then on sometime after the 8th where we can move. But yes, it's again, it's a part of our deal where we try to go back and look at where we can fix long-term problems and upgrade the system all at the same time. Any other questions?
Do we need to vote on this?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, I just thought if there was any other questions.
Moving on to agenda item number 33.
So this is what I referred to earlier. We had submitted a rural infrastructure grant to the Commerce Department some time ago for State Road 78 Phase 3 construction. It was $1 million ask. We got approval for that grant application. So I'm bringing it back to the board. It's the grant number 0338 or something of that nature. If the board is receptive to accepting this grant, the documents were originally set up for Mr. Nelson to sign as the chairman. We'll get those changed to reflect Mr. Gilliland being the chairman. But here is the grant agreement that's in your board package. I'll be happy to answer any questions, comments, or thoughts on this project. I believe there's a figure down here.
So John, in the middle of the agenda item, it states that we're splitting the engineering fees based on a 50/50 basis.
I'm sorry. Let me go back up here. Yes, we're going to be splitting the engineering fees. Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So that has nothing to do with the item that we just spoke of regarding the storage tank, correct?
That is correct. These items were discussed back in December and January.
So we're already fitting a 50/50 split.
For the piping.
Right. So, okay.
Which is what we did on the first two phases, if you remember.
So we have a lot of skin in the game.
And we're getting benefit. So there is, it was a better deal under phase one because we had to do something because DOT was putting guardrail. 2 and 3, not so much, but we are getting some grant money. And just familiarize, oh goodness, somewhere in here.
And
Well, I
also
passed
job
it.
creation and sustainment, all that is in here.
There is no job creation with this fund.
Okay, very good.
There is none. It's for the next one.
Okay, very good.
I guess I went by the figure. So, the intent of this one is just to go through and make sure that we want to accept this rural infrastructure grant and authorize OUA staff and the chairman, Mr. Gilliland, to execute this agreement.
And that's staff recommendation?
Yes, ma'am. I'm still trying to find that. I don't know what I did to it. Here, I'll tell you what I'll look at this one. Where's the picture?
What are you looking for, John?
I was looking for the actual picture if you wanted to see where this pipeline is. I guess it's near the end.
So are we able to move forward with John Gilliland?
The vote would be 4-0, yes, so that's still a quorum.
There's no picture.
No picture? Thought I had one. Okay. Guess I don't.
Can I make a motion?
Yes.
I have a motion by Mrs. Trent. Do I have a second?
And just to be clear on the motion, there are 2 bullet items that approve the signing of the grant and the design, okay?
Yes.
Second?
Mr. Valentino. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Agenda item number 34, John. Project update.
So, this is just going through several of the ongoing projects that we have out to bid right now, and we're expecting to get in. I can tell you the 2, they're all important. NW15 is a pump station that was constructed at the soccer field on the north side of town back around 2001. So it's due for rehabilitation. So we're going to look at replacing pumps, generator, control panel, new lining system, spray-on lining system. It's just basically a makeover, if you will. Southwest 5th Avenue, that is, the bid opening is on April 7th. That, if you remember, that project was broken into 2 phases. This first phase is to build the vacuum pump station and a limited amount of vacuum sewer. The rest of it would be done under phase 2. Pine Ridge Park, we know we just dealt with that, and again, it's not northwest 16th Avenue, it's northeast. We've just dealt with that. The 2 I wanted to talk about were the Group C and Group G in the southwest service area. That is where we're getting bids to actually make the household connections to our new vacuum sewer collection systems, both 4 and 5. What's going to happen at the next board meeting? I want to just take up a little bit of your time here so you get a heads up. We as staff will bring back the amount of grant monies that we have available, the number of houses to connect. With these 2 bids, we'll have a better understanding of what maybe an average connection price is going to be. When we divide all that into the number of houses and the grant money, we hope to get how that grant money could be distributed on an even basis to each of the homeowners. So let's say the installation cost is $10,000, the grant monies is $7,500. We would expect the homeowners to pay that difference. Now, we just sent out 500 plus letters in the last couple of weeks outlining 3 options for the homeowners. If they want to do it right now with a pending construction or a failing septic tank, they can go do their own work right now on their own dime. There's a couple variations of that. The 3rd option is wait for us to do these bids over time, and we could do some cost sharing with them. So we're going to bring all that back at the next board meeting. One of the other considerations is a payment plan. And let me explain one of the biggest differences in our payment plans. The ones we have right now is for things like capital connection charges and installation. It's really very little money out of our pocket. We're just saying, you owe us this amount and you can pay us over time. We really don't lose anything. This is totally different, because if we're gonna pay a contractor to do the installation work, we've now shelled out $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 of our money that we're not gonna get back except over time payments. The question that I'm going to ask is, we offer very minimal interest, like 1% on the other ones. Is this payment plan, if we're out offering it at 1%, we're kind of losing money, because we could have invested it for more. So how do you want to work that?
So
Do you think?
If you do a payment plan, you might request market rates then.
Correct. The interest rate might go up to whatever the market rate. Let's just say, for the sake of this discussion, because we have an esteemed banker here, they're offering 9% interest.
I want to bank there.
Yeah, that's right.
But they're going to be, the interest earned could be a lot more than 1%. So my only point is, if we're going to be talking about this at the 21st, we may want to look at that interest rate if we want to do this payment plan. So there's a lot that's coming at the next meeting that's going to have a fairly big impact on Southwest Service here.
But you're going to do all the research and have a nice little packet for us to review.
And the discussion will be several bathroom breaks and hot dogs and hamburgers and some cold drinks. Yes, it should be quite extensive. And I will tell you that there are some people on staff that I've shared with them that with my short-term experience here, I'm going to be asking them to kind of take the lead on coming through with this, because it's, a good experience, and I'm not going to be here for the bulk of it. So yes, it will be a true staff experience. So yes, the 21st, y'all are going to be getting this information, and it's going to be quite extensive. So I'll answer any other questions on project updates if you have any. Okay, so it's coming on the 21st.
You have two bids out, John, two.
We have Southwest 5th Avenue, Northwest 15th Pump Station. We have this Group G and Group C, and we have, and then we just took Pine Ridge Park. So we actually have 4 that's still pending, where we have bids coming in.
I was talking about the park.
For the Southwest Service Area, we only have 2 right now.
How many do you think it's gonna take to get all that?
Oh, 20 or more.
20 bids?
What we're trying to do, first off, slow first, to make sure that our bid package as the process works, because we haven't done this before. So we're trying to make sure the process works. Number 2, we're trying to keep the quantity low enough to where, regardless of whether it's a smaller plumbing contractor or a bigger one, if we keep it to 10 to 20 homes in each bid, they can all join in. So moving forward, we may have 4 to 6 of these out to bid at any given time, because we have to get through 500 homes. So if we do it 20 per deal, that's 5 per 100. So, we've got a total of possibly 25 bids to work with. So,
and did you decide if somebody does it on their own, if they go in and do it now, or are they gonna share in the,
for right now, no, there is no sharing. Because then the dilemma we have is, how do you figure out how much of their out-of-pocket expenses, whether they did it themselves or whether they got their own contractor? It adds another dilemma, and I don't know that we've worked through that yet. The only one that we're looking at cost sharing right now, for sure, are these bids that we put out. So it's a fun time, it's an exciting time. We're glad to finally get to a point where Project 2, which is way over control on time, where we've actually been able to take beneficial use of it.
And again, the goal is to get everybody on as soon as possible so we get the income from this.
I would, yes, certainly there's going to be some income. Right now, it's probably at least, to get through this whole process, might be 6 months. But as long as we keep doing it, we're going to get there. Right about the time I get to retire. No.
Okay. Agenda item number 35.
So-
Executive Director Search Update.
Here we get to the good one, right? So, again, another typo, let me at least point it out, the OUA workshop will not be held several weeks ago. It's really supposed to be April 6th through 10th, not March 6th through 10th. We had, well, I'll let Mr. Chairman, if he wants to talk about the March 17th, search committee deal.
We can look at those dates for sure.
Okay, while he's looking at dates, what I'll tell you is, everybody, the board in general, everybody got all 30-plus applications that applied, and so y'all got a chance to look at what we as a search committee looked at to come up with these 4 names that are on there as the search committee's 4 ranked. So, John, did you want to go through your process?
No, I think, well, John and Lori, Tim.
Tammy Finch, our HR director.
I don't remember the names very well, did a good job of basically sorting out the top 10, and then we came in and met. Brian Lear came in and helped with us. Really appreciated his spending time to go through these. He did a really nice job, and I think we pretty much, all of us had these guys in our top 5, and it was just a matter of deciding, narrowing it down to 3. I know the board was, some of the board members were, okay, we'd like to have an engineer. There are 2 engineers in this group. I can't pronounce that guy's name on the end.
Mr. Tampa.
Okay. So if the board, and then Morrison and
Greg.
Greg were added later, as they get a pass to get on the list. Tammy will send out an application to all these applicants, actually a job application, and then we'll know for sure if they are still interested. I don't know when their applications were sent in, maybe something's changed since then, and they no longer are interested, or they accepted a position somewhere else. And then I would think, John, that some of these could be Zoom interviews.
Well, so if the board is receptive, we would pick an OUA workshop to conduct the interviews. Some could be in person, some could be Zoom, but we will work through with, if you want 6 candidates, those 6 candidates will work through to know when we could meet. If there was a time between the 6th and the 10th, better agreeable for the OUA board. If you can give me a date, we'll work towards getting these done.
And would that be during the day, John, or?
Whatever y'all choose.
What would be the preference?
I'm open, either way.
I'm open also.
Are we trying to do them all in one day?
Doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be. Matter of fact, it might be better if we break them up over time, because each interview could be as long as 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. So if I can we start with do we want to do these 6?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do these 6. And I will work through those dates to see who's available for in-person interviews, virtual, whatever, and then I'll get back and send out a schedule. Will that work for the board?
Yeah.
And then, what we would be striving for is the 21st, again, favorite meeting, where we can go through these 6 and you guys can identify who your number 1 candidate is.
John, for me, the 6th and the 7th would be the best 2 days.
Okay.
Possibly the 8th if we did it during the daytime.
Okay, let me see who's available when. And we'll get that out today to the all 6 candidates to see who's available. And then after the 21st, again, anytime after the 6th and 7th, the 21st, then we can talk about what goes forward from there as far as negotiating a contract and with the number 1 candidate. So is that good?
Were there any potential pay scales listed in our advertisements?
Yes, but I do not know what it was.
Maybe at least got a ballpark of what kind of money we're talking about.
Yes. Whether or not that's acceptable, I mean, you know.
Sure, yeah. I mean, at least they applied with that knowledge anyway.
I mean, all of them, I mean, you saw the resumes. They all have some expertise and,
Yeah, I picked the same 4 people. I went through all of them. I'm happy with the group of 6.
okay. I'm in favor of this because that's getting closer. Okay. We'll send out what we find out about interviews. Anything else on the executive director search? Questions, comments? See you later, John. Something?
Who ended up being on the committee as far as?
Brian.
It was, outside was Brian Malaire, and then Mr. Gilliland, Tammy Finch, our HR person, and myself.
Do you have anybody in the group on the applicants that you wanted to talk about?
As far as these?
No, on any other ones.
No, I didn't see them, I didn't,
Oh,
I got the,
You did get them, though.
I wanna assume I did.
Oh,
The agenda come through, one of my Gmails, and I didn't know there was something else.
oh, the resumes came out like weeks ago.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Okay.
I'll look at them. Now that I know, I think they're probably on that tablet. On, OUA.
If you have a better email address that you want, let me know what to use. Just remember that if we use it, it's public access, if anybody ever wanted to search it.
Right.
Okay.
All right, anything else from the executive director?
Well, the next is items from the attorney, agenda number 37.
Thank you. Good morning. You've seen a lot of it, so I worked on the FDOT subordination during this preceding time period. The fire station conveyance certainly, and then another item that hasn't really come before you lately is the Lakefront Estates user agreement. I think we're at the end. We're about to revert that to their council for review. Those are really the big three, and I'm sure I've got work to do before the next meeting. Review it.
Item 38, standard situation. Yes, we're closer on finalizing Project 2, Southwest Service Area. The remaining sticking point, and Jeff Sumner is here to talk about it if you need to, is pavement restoration right away. I think that's probably the biggest issue that's left outstanding that we're going to have to work through with the residents and county. Would that be what you would?
That's the bulk of the punch list, yeah.
Okay. Phase 2 water main is essentially done. I think that would easily be brought back to the board next month for closeout. Treasure Island, like I said, we do have a meeting set up today. Hopefully we'll get that going. And the rest of them are still working. We should close out Mallard Landing. In the Mallard Landing area, there's a what we call Tanglewood Lift Station. We'd like to rehab that. We're getting quotes. We'll bring that back next month to be able to go in and rehab that station. New pumps, because we've added 100+ new construction homes that are going to be going in on that, plus these homes for our project, 10 or 11 homes. So going to get a lot more flow over the time period. Now it's time to rehab it and make it good for the next 20 or 30 years. Other than that, we're continuing to work. I will tell you that from a Tallahassee perspective, one of the 3 of our ask is made it in for potential funding, but the biggest ask is the conversion of our treatment plant from a long-term lease agreement with the state may actually be converted to ownership. So we'll know that the effective date is the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th. So it's made it through the House and the Senate. So
Let's go through the cabinet now then? Or?
It will be up to the governor to either veto it or sign it or do the pocket deal where he has to do nothing and it automatically becomes law June 30th. So but it's made it through the biggest hurdles, both the House and the Senate. So it's good. So we got lots going on. Yeah, we just have a lot going on. It looks like we got a TMDL grant notification this week, that the one that we were going to get last year that got nixed when the federal government pulled all the money back. Looks like it's back on track, so that's a plus. We just got a lot going on. It's a busy time, exciting time. So I'll answer any questions if anybody's got anything outstanding, pending. We're doing sampling at the groundwater, surface water plant, water quality sampling, so it's kind of fun to see what's going on. Yeah, it's just a lot.
So the groundwater plant is going to run, what, twice a week or twice a month? What?
We're going to continue to exercise it. We're going to also, in the coming months, we're going to do a sample well drilling out there to see if we can get better quality water with a little deeper well, so we can look at our existing wells to see if we lengthen them and drop the pumps a little bit lower, whether we could get better quality water. So we're going to be doing some other sampling in the short term out of the groundwater plant.
So we're still not feeding any water into the distribution system?
Well, we can, but we're not, right. Because the water is so hard.
Hardness, right, yeah, that's what I wasn't clear.
But what we want to be able to do, and what we should have been able to do, and now we are, should we get to that point where hurricane season is upon us and we lose the lake, we can, it's better than nothing, so we would have that water available to us. So that's it from the executive director's position. Anything from the board other than moving the finance report up to after the consent agenda?
Anything else? If there's nothing else, we will adjourn the meeting.